Welcome to my podcast, What the Fuck, Spirit. If you made it past that name, this is going to be the podcast for you. This is going to be a no holds barred, no bullshit, open and honest conversation with Maria Leggett, and that's me, about all things spiritual. It's time to begin talking in an open and honest way about what spirituality is and what it is not. We're going to discuss all things woo-woo, witchcraft, spirituality, medium versus psychic, energy healing, light work, shadow work, and any other bullshit that people want you to believe because it keeps them comfortable. It is time for you to grow. Let's go.
You know, after all this time, I still laugh at that intro.
I'm over here dancing to it.
I know, right? It's just got this happy. Whoop, whoop,
Yeah.
whoop. So welcome everybody to What the Fuck Spirit podcast. And I am here with my friend, Carol Elizabeth, medium again. And this, I think this is going to be the third and final. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Talking about sexual childhood sexual abuse. I had to get that all straight in my head. And so here's your trauma warning. If this is too difficult of a topic for you, you might want to turn it off. However, if you're curious, keep listening. And if you get triggered, turn it off and then come back later. Because, I mean, it'll be there. It's recorded.
That's the beauty of podcasts.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
I'm sorry I'm triggered. Stop.
Yep. I need to process this for just a little bit, and then I can go on.
Well, and you know what's funny is this has happened to you and I both, where I've had to edit some of it out because you and I, while we're recording this, stuff is coming up that we haven't thought about in years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay, I need to process right now. Okay, I need to process this. And so it's that, I call it the spirit stare. Yes. You know, when I was a kid, they used to say it that I was, she checked out. She was daydreaming. It has nothing to do with daydreaming at all. I'm having a conversation with spirit. And so it's that momentary pause. And it feels like forever, but it's usually only about 10 seconds. But 10 seconds of open air on a podcast is like death. They're like, what happened? Oh, well, let's just switch, right?
Yeah.
But this is what's happening. So as we're processing and we're talking about all of this stuff, we're healing while we're doing this. And it is really my hope that we're sharing all of this information. And, it's the same thing when I first started my mediumship journey. It is, if one person can benefit from any one thing that we've said and shared today, then I am beyond grateful, because we have a right to share our story and they have a right to hear it and recognize, hey, you're not alone.
Yeah.
And as I'm sitting here, it's October 1st in Ohio and it's fucking 82 degrees outside. What the hell? This should not be happening, but whatever. It is what it is. Okay. So we're going to talk about childhood sexual abuse. And today we're really going to focus on how did our trauma affect the jobs that we have now, which is being spiritual leaders. And I sit here and I get paused for a minute, and because it's literally it's like a mind explosion, right? I can see that emoji of the, that's the emoji that I see, because you don't realize how many facets trauma effects of your life, specifically this type of trauma, until you start looking at it and realizing this thing is like an octopus with 10,000 tentacles.
It really is. It really is.
It reaches out, it touches, it steps into so many different things. And I think it's funny because I just sat here and I said, okay, I want to talk about what is the biggest thing that I think it affected. And I would have said something else, but I heard something in my head. So I know that I need to talk about what I heard in my head. And what I heard in my head was it affected my right to be seen.
Ah.
It affected my right to be seen. Mm-hmm. Because as a medium, you have to be seen. Mm-hmm. You have to advertise. You have to have clients. You have to have faith in everything that you're doing. And even once I got past all the trust issues, which that's a whole nother fucking ballgame that we'll talk about today because it's all part of it, being seen. Yeah. Because, when I first started this, I think my first live was like 8 or 9 years ago. I found it on Facebook and downloaded it. It was like 8 or 9 years ago, and I was just sitting there pulling cards, and it affected me because I had massive anxiety before I did it. Massive anxiety before I did it. And I had no following, no nothing. And this was back when, lives were not really a big thing and Facebook would push them. And so my husband had gone to bed. It was like 10 o'clock at night. I'm sitting in the chair and I said, okay, well, let me just go live and see what happens. And I wound up getting like 45, 50 people. It got like, like over 1,000 views. I don't get that shit with, 3,500 followers.
Yeah.
So I can look back at that now and go, Spirit's like, hey, we have to encourage her somehow.
Yes. Yes.
So Spirit says I have to talk about it being seen, me being seen. And I think that they want me to talk about that. Not I think, I know. I know that they want me to talk about it because it's one of the reasons why I procrastinate on things. Because I'm still afraid to be seen sometimes. I'm still afraid to be judged. I don't want to be judged. I am no way, shape, or form ashamed any longer of what happened to me. I was a child. I didn't ask for it. I didn't even know how to ask for it. But being seen is, if you see me, you can hurt me. Yeah. If you see me, you can hurt me. And that is still a big one for me, especially because when I go live, when I do things publicly, like if I go live on my Facebook page, Rooted in Ritual with Maria, if I go live on that page, I wind up getting, and it is specifically, Carol, it's specifically Christian men who will comment and say horrible things. I actually had, when I posted my ministerial degree, I was so proud of it. I posted a ministerial degree on my Facebook page, on my business page. And some guy said, there's no way you can be a minister. You're a woman. You have no right to be a minister. What the fuck? You, my friend, are living in the 1800s. Yeah. Get out of it. But that's the exact energy that I'm afraid of, because that's the energy that molested me.
Yeah.
Right. And I know you identify with that.
Look, as you're talking about this and you're saying this, I'm reminded how a couple of years ago I got online ordained, just the $20 thing or whatever. And I go and I tell my mom about it. And she had the exact same energy because of the way that she was raised in her faith. Women are not supposed to be pastors. And she's like, well, you're not really going to like have a church or anything, right? Like, you're not going to be like a pastor. And that was her reaction to me. And I was like,
thanks, Mom.
A little bit of the bitch came out. And I'm like, you know what? I just might. Like, if that's what God wants me to do, then yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And that was the attitude that I came back with her. This was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. But that was my reaction to her, because she came at it as, again, judging me and telling me that I can't do that because it doesn't fit with her box of her beliefs.
Right.
And it was, that same energy of, I'm going to judge you and you can't do this. And I'm going to say something and try to make you, hide your light because you don't align with what I agree with.
Yes.
And that's exactly what the Christian men out there are doing, because, it's any man, but it's typically, like you said, the demographic of Christian men that are typically the ones that'll step forward and say something.
Absolutely.
But it's the judgment. That's all that it is. It's judgment. It's because we're not doing what they deem as correct and right.
It is. And when I first got on this journey, my ego would say, oh, see there, that's a sign. You're not supposed to be doing this. Look at their criticizing you. And so I'd go back into my hidey hole. And then I'd find the courage, right? I'd reach down, grab some chutzpah, and I'd come back out. And then I would get it again and I'd go run away. Very rare do I have any women ever judge what I do. In the whole time, like I can talk about men, right, saying all these things about me. But on my business page, there was one person, only one female, and I had posted a picture of myself before my spiritual journey. And I mean, if you know me, you love me because I'm a great person, but I'm a big girl. I'm not small. And I don't apologize for that. I don't care. And I don't feel the need to explain why anymore either. I used to do all the explanations. It's my metabolism. It's this, it's that, medical reasons, but whatever. I don't give a shit anymore. So this woman, I posted this picture and it was me with like my hair done, makeup on, earrings on, dressed really nice. And I posted this picture and I said, I look at this picture and I'm sad because she felt like she needed to hide behind makeup and earrings and, perfect hair and nice clothes. And this woman comes on there and starts ripping me apart about how fat I am.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Ripped me from stem to stern about how fat I was. And it turns out that she wound up being the sister of one of my very good clients. And so my client is like texting me, I'm so sorry, that's my sister. And I said, I don't give a fuck who it is. Like, I'm not holding you responsible for what she's saying.
Yeah.
And, and I have to realize that that's where she's at on her journey. She was judged clearly on the way that she looked as she was growing up. You have to be beautiful. You have to be thin. You have to be perfect. You have to be all these things. And some people can stick to that. I have a rebellious soul. I do. I have a very rebellious soul. And so my mom said all those things to me. I'm just worried about you being fat when you get older. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about that. And I went the other way. Well, screw you. I'm going to go hide and eat Twinkies. I'm going to go hide and eat this. I'm going to go hide and eat that. Right. And all of that had to do with being seen. I can't be seen being me because somebody's going to judge me. And so it amazes me now. I can look back at all of those situations and know that Spirit's throwing them up as a yield sign, not a stop sign. Spirit threw it up as a yield sign for slow down. Take a look at this. What do you need to heal? What do you need to let go of? Rather than my ego going, no, it's lying. You need to stop. So I know that is for me, right? So my answer is it affected how I trust. Spirit wanted me to talk about.
Look, they wanted you to talk about that for me because I've got my website. Yeah, I've got my website going. Yes, it's CarolElizabethMedium.com. I have everything ready to be accepting clients. I have my first class written on spirit guides, and I haven't pulled the trigger. I don't post things online. I don't have any engagement. I don't do live pulls. And it's 100%. I've been trying to figure out for the last year, like, why am I hesitating so much? And that resonates for me so much because it's one of those, I'm still at that phase where it's being small and hiding is safe. If I'm not seen by my abuser and anyone else that may be a potential abuser, then I cannot get abused because they can't find me. Yes. And I didn't even realize until you're saying this, how much that's still a part of how I am. And my throat is killing me all of a sudden. And that is totally Spirit working this out because I've literally never said that or even contemplated. And like now I'm tearing up too, because I never contemplated that it's not that I'm ashamed of who I am. It's that I'm just trying to protect myself.
Yes.
And I didn't like that. It's another one of those things that where you're understanding and you're digesting the I'm hiding and I'm protecting myself in certain ways. It's affecting me in a different way that I didn't even realize.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting as you're saying all of that, I'll step into it with you, as in, I feel like there's a tennis ball, like a dry tennis ball
Yes.
lump in my throat. And so I know this is like really important for us to talk about. And I know that I have to edit this one and the second one that I still haven't released. I have to edit them today, get them out, get them scheduled, because I know that what we're saying is going to resonate with so many people, Carol. I do. I know
Right.
that.
I agree.
And being seen affects so much, right? We are called to be leaders, and I have zero doubt in my mind about that. Zero doubt. I know that to be true for me from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. And it took me a long time to trust that, but I know that that's the case. And you can hear my my voice is cracking, right? And here's the thing. This is part of our mediumship journey, right? Recognizing what is your body telling you? Because our bodies are talking to us the whole time, because it's held on to all of this molestation energy for so long. So when we talk about it, it comes up and it can come out.
Well, and that's the thing. When you're in the process of understanding and healing on this journey, you're used to maybe, and I'm saying from my experience, I was used to feeling these types of things and ignoring them, pushing them down, saying, "Oh, well, I don't know why my throat's sore, but it's just sore," and not taking account of any of it, not listening or paying attention to any of it. So what I was doing is pushing that energy back down, not allowing it to be released and actually healed. So even if I was understanding things, I'm still bottling them up. I'm still going, I don't want to deal with it. So that's really what's been, the biggest thing in the last 3 years has been allowing it to come out and saying, "Hey, my throat hurts because I'm saying this for the first time." And even acknowledging that, I can feel, it's like, to me, the energy feels like the gunk from Fern Gully, like the evil thing that sucks up the pollution. That's what it feels like coming out of me. And it's giving it the space to be able to come out, especially when you're in a safe space. Like, I know, and my body now knows, if I'm with you, I am a safe space to share, whether it's class or we're just friends talking. And again, my throat is like choking me up, but
I'm here with you, sister.
I know that I'm in a safe space, so that I know I can release this in a way that is beneficial and healing and not re-traumatizing, and I'm able to actually move forward.
Yeah. I love that. So what would you say is the biggest thing that your trauma, the biggest way that your trauma has affected your business? Is it trust? Is it being seen? What is it?
Trust, 100% trust. So when I first started my classes with you, you kept encouraging me to get to know my guides and to trust my guides. And I kept thinking, I'm doing that. Why isn't this working? And I was getting frustrated because I wasn't understanding everything. And then I started remembering about the abuse and remembering more details and starting to really work through and process that. And I realized that, I don't know if this is a subconscious or spiritual level, but I realized that I did not trust my guides because my guides were with me through everything, meaning they didn't stop it. And I was angry, so angry at my guides. And I had a grandparent that was there, 2 grandparents that were there watching it happen. And I was so angry that they didn't stop it. And that made me not trust them. And now as I'm going through this, and I feel like I want to cry because I'm just so hurt and so angry. And that's the way that I felt for so long. And again, I would feel this feeling and push it down and not process it, because I felt like I can't trust you, because when I needed you, you were there and you watched it happen. And that was my mindset with my guides until I realized that this was my soul contract. They had to agree to allow me to go through this because that is what I had chosen to do. So they wanted to step in. They wanted to stop it. They wanted to protect me. But they loved me enough to respect my decision and to respect the boundaries that I set before I came into this life. And that understanding that is one thing, but then also releasing all of the fear and the anger and the hurt and the mistrust is completely another, and I've recently, I say I have a new guide, but at the same time, I realize that this guide was the previous guide, but I'm going this through new guides. And I almost have to go through this feeling again with this guide because it's another layer of, okay, well, you were in the back. You were even further behind, all these other guides or whatever. So it's like I have to rebuild with this individual specific guide that they allowed it to happen. This guide is an ancestor of mine. So it's like, okay, so you were family and you let this happen. And I know, I'm realizing now that it's because there's pieces and parts of me, that the human me that is upset at everybody that I knew in my childhood that saw signs and didn't stop it, or that chose not to see the signs.
Yeah.
So for me, it's very much, it's trust, because if you had asked me when I was 19 about whether or not I trust people, I would tell you that I trust people too easily. And in some ways I really did, because I was so yearning to be able to trust someone that I gave everybody trust. And then I got screwed over. I got stabbed in the back. I had friends that would lie about me and, just these manipulative, horrible things, because I was so wanting to have someone to trust.
Right.
That I just kind of spewed my entire life story and, things like that. I just completely opened the doors and allowed them in when they had not proven that they could be someone who is trustworthy. Right. So it's weird sometimes for me to look at the whole, well, I don't trust them, but then at the same time, I trust too easily, so it's a weird thing and a hard thing to reconcile inside my mind sometimes, because it's the boundaries. It's setting boundaries and understanding where I am and what is okay with me, and what I'm okay with, as far as who I trust and who I don't trust. And it's understanding that I can make those boundaries and that I don't have to over explain, I don't have to excuse my existence.
No, I do.
So.
I totally understand. I agree with the trust issue. And, it is, and you've heard me say this a million times because you were a student. It is hard for me to look at a woman who's had this happen to her, because I had the same reaction. I know damn well what's going to come out. When I say this is part of your soul contract, you agreed for this to happen. That is a fuck you. Who do you think you are? But I know. And I have to say these hard things, because when you step into, this is so much bigger than just my human self. There is a lesson for me to learn in this. And I can clearly look back, and I know now, right? It reminds me of Dr. Wayne Dyer's book, I Can See Clearly Now. It's a great book. If you've never read it, read it. And he says, I can see clearly now, looking back at my life. I know that those bad things happened to me so that my aura, my energy would call out to the women that I'm here to help.
Yeah.
How in the hell could I help any woman if I hadn't been put in those same situations? You cannot. You can't, because you can sympathize, right? You can sympathize, you can empathize, you can do all the things, but you cannot say, I have walked in your shoes. You cannot.
And it's so different to hear it from someone who's been through something similar than it is from someone that has a degree. And that's not knocking therapists or, I
Not at
love
all.
my therapist. And this therapist that I have, I've only been seeing her since the beginning of August, and we've already made massive headway. Like, it's amazing. I love my therapist, but it still hits different for her to say something and for you to say the exact same thing. Because I know that you've been through it. You truly understand. And that's where, having a good community and women's circles and things like that, I think is very, very helpful. Because it's the hindsight's 2020. You're not going to understand the whole tapestry of your life and everything that you agreed to until the end of it. You may be able to understand bits and pieces, but you won't be able to understand all of it until the very end because the tapestry is not done. It's not completed.
Agreed completely.
You may be able to look back. It's just like when they're weaving and making a tapestry. You can understand what's happened in the past by looking back on it, but you still don't know what the rest of the tapestry is going to show.
Correct.
You just have no idea. It could be a tapestry of totally different things from one end to the other. And until you go through it, you can't see. And it's always beautiful too. There's a purpose. There's a reason. There may be dark pieces, but without those dark pieces, you don't have the full picture.
It's true. That's why it drives me crazy when people go, "Oh, I'm a light worker. I'm a light worker." Fuck off. If you are literally only working with the light, you got a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Because that means that you are spiritually bypassing your trauma. You're spiritually bypassing all your shadows. You're not doing the shadow work. You're not doing any of the stuff. I work with both sides of the coin. I have to.
I just heard somebody say that's like painting over crap.
It's true. It's true.
It's not going to stay. It's not going to stick. The wall's still going to be dirty. It's still going to be ugly. The paint's going to come right back off.
Yes. It reminds me of we bought a camper about an hour away from here. It's a permanent site and we get to go up there, and I have a very specific allergy to mold. And if I'm around mold, it goes crazy. My sinuses fill up. I wind up getting very sick. And the first couple of weekends we were there, I was getting sick. And I'm like, I don't understand this. And Tyler's like, I think there's mold behind the wall.
Oh.
He knew right where it went. He pulled the thing down. Sure enough, there's mold. You can't, it's not that you can't abate it. You can, but then the spores go everywhere. So he used this special paint that you paint over the mold and it encapsulates it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It creates this nice hard shell. So that's what that reminds me of. And it, that's what you said. It reminds me of that. You're encapsulating the mold, the bad shit that can kill you and make you so sick. But you're just going to paint over it with this nice white paint. It's still there. It didn't go anywhere. You're just ignoring it.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, yeah. Trust is, I went through some of the same things like what you were talking about. I trusted too easily because as you're talking, I can see this like checklist that I used to have, which was, you're not related to me. Because that was a big one. You're not related to me. You don't live in this specific area. And you're not trying to touch my vagina. You're not trying to touch my growing boobies. Right? You're not doing these things. You're not making me feel gross. So clearly I can trust you and I can just tell you everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Because see, it being, I feel my trust also was affected because of the other traumas that I had in my life. It kind of compounded it. So when it comes to me making friends, I was the pastor starter. So you've got all the trauma from the sexual abuse, but then you've also got the trauma of being a pastor's daughter. And then you've got the trauma of being the middle of 9 kids and completely, my mom tried her hardest, but they were still neglectful. You can't, as a middle of 9 kids, you cannot have 9 kids and spend the appropriate amount of time with each child if you have any other responsibilities, like anything at all. It's just not possible. There's not enough time of the day. There's going to be times when there is a kid that is lost in the shuffle. So if you've got a kid that is going through these other traumatic things and they are learning at the age of freaking 2 to hide because it's safer to hide, that just adds to the neglect, right? So when I'm a pastor's kid, I felt like I had to reach out and be the friends of all of the new kids that came to the church to kind of market for the church or whatever. So that added another layer of distrust, because it was like, well, are these people my friend because I'm the pastor's kid or because they want to be my friend?
Right.
And then all my later friends were friends through church or through work or something like that, to where it was like, if I met somebody that wasn't affiliated with me in any other way, like I was like, oh my God, we're best friends now. And I would just spew everything. And then those people inevitably hurt me. And it was just kind of, they weren't somebody that I should have trusted at that time the way that I did. It's not that they were horrible people, but they weren't the right person for me to trust the way that I did. But I was just so craving the attention, and I just let it all out.
Yeah, I totally understand. I did the exact same thing. So because of the trust issues, right? And I love that you talked about how I didn't know how to trust my ancestors. Why did you let this happen? I think all of us who have been sexually abused, male and female alike, we all have the same thing. How could you let this happen? So it's important to talk about that humans have free will. And I'll say to an extent, because you're held to your soul contract. So even though my higher self knows, and I can say this without cringing, and I still have a human side that goes, I don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right? My higher self says, can you imagine how difficult it must be on the soul of your DNA relative who did this to you, that they had to do this horrible thing to get you on the right track? And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. They must have really loved me on the other side. Down here, not so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't want anybody to feel like I am in this place of jumping up and down. I'm so grateful this happened. No. That's not how this goes.
No.
It got me to a place where I could understand this happened as part of my soul contract. And because it happened as part of my soul contract, I can now go, okay, I agreed to this. I'm not mad at you anymore, because the anger is just like those 10,000 tentacles, right? Anger has its own tentacles. Trust has its own tentacles, and it affects so much in your brain and your central processing nervous system. Because one of the things that I remember when we adopted our youngest daughter from China, her pediatrician said, the body never forgets. So if anything traumatic has happened to her, you need to watch her reactions. And if she pulls away, don't do that again, because that means that she was abused. She was something, whatever it was. And there were things that we had to do. So I learned in that moment that he was teaching me about my daughter, that I was having some of those same reactions because my body didn't forget.
Yeah.
And so you've literally, whatever word you want to use, right? Groomed, gaslighted, whatever, I don't care. But you've gotten yourself to a place where I can't trust. If I can't trust a physical being, how the fuck am I supposed to trust an unseen being?
Exactly.
That the majority of the world is telling me I'm crazy and doesn't exist.
You're taking out in a way, you're taking out one of your senses, because even if you are clairvoyant and you can see them, the seeing is different. Even if they're standing right in front of you and it's not in your head clairvoyantly, it's still different. And that difference makes it unknown. Even though you can still sense them in all of the senses, there's still an element of unknown, or and that makes it just like you distrust it just automatically, because you're also sitting here, especially at the beginning of your journey, trying to decide whether or not you're hallucinating. You're still trying to get your ego to understand that no, this is okay. I'm not making this up. I'm not hallucinating this. I'm not psychotic. I don't need to go to a mental institution. And so you add to that you're going through your traumas, and this is how it worked for me. It was just another bit of, can I really trust what I'm perceiving? Because not only am I doubting all of everything that I'm perceiving from spirit, because this is new to actually get some information and then ask a question about it, and get more information. That's all new. But here I am discovering or rediscovering and understanding all of this trauma that I had blocked. So then there's that added, well, am I making this up? And I feel like it kind of needs to be, well, not kind of, it needs to be said, because people from the outside who are not open to spirit, who do not have mediumship abilities and do not see and feel the way that we do, think automatically, well, they're crazy, they're making it up. So then you start talking about that, and then you also start talking about your abuse. I'm sure that there are a lot of women out there that'll talk about their abuse and be told that they're making it up. Unfortunately, I know that happens. So you add those two together, talking about them at the same time, and quote unquote coming out about these two at the exact same time, just made it that much harder. Because
Absolutely.
there were thankfully there were people in my life that I told them about the abuse, and they had no doubts, no hesitation. I 100% believe you. I didn't see it. I didn't know it was happening, but I am so sorry, and how can I help you? But then I also had people go, okay, sure, that's what happened. And they didn't specifically say to my face that they don't believe me, but I know that they don't fully believe me. There is a hesitance. There is a doubt. Is she exaggerating this? Is she, doing this for, attention? Is she being dramatic about everything that happened? And that can be very hurtful to not be believed. But then there's also that part. And I feel like this is probably why this happened at the same time for me, because I was already understanding with spirit that I don't care if people believe that I see them and that I feel spirit and that I know that they're there, because I know that they're there. So I don't have to justify the fact that I experience and see and feel spirit. So it's at the exact same time I'm going through this abuse. I don't have to justify it to them. I don't have to explain it to them. They don't have to believe it to know whether or not it happened. It did. And their belief is not going to change my experience.
True. So how did you get to a place where you could trust that you really were talking to your guides, that they really were there, and develop a deep relationship to them to the point where you're like, okay, I can be a professional medium. Let's go do this.
I think what really got me really excited about it and really like, this is for real. I had been doing a lot of like online research and online classes and stuff. And then I had the reading with you, and it was shortly after that. That was when we first met. It was shortly after that I had a conversation with my sister, and I kind of gave her a reading. I didn't realize that that's what I was doing, but she started talking about how her house is haunted. And I started telling her all this information, and it was all correct. She was like, how do you know all of this? And that was my first inkling of, you're not making this up. This is true. This is real. And then the more I started in class with you, the time that I finally realized, okay, I can do this, was the grandpa, and I'm already feel like I'm going to start crying. The grandpa that died when I was really, really little, before the abuse ramped up, he and my guides let me remember and brought a memory to the surface, however you want to word it, of me being molested. And I'm surrounded by my guides and my grandpa. And he apologized that he was not able to do something years before to stop this from happening. And it was just like I felt him hugging me and I felt him holding me, and I could just tell that it was safe, because this was my grandpa and I was safe with him.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew that spirit was safe, because there are all these people that hurt me and do horrible things, but spirit has never hurt me. Spirit has never done anything horrible to me. And that's when I realized that it was okay to move forward. It's still scary, still working through it, still have hiccups. But that was the moment when I realized that they really are there for me, to protect me and to help me grow and to lead me. And they don't have an ulterior motive, And I think another layer of this traumatic abuse is because both of us, it was a DNA biologically related male. So it wasn't just a random person. It was somebody that we should have been able to trust.
Yes.
We should have had no doubts, no hesitations in being able to trust these people. And they hurt us arguably more than anybody else, So it's knowing that spirit is somebody that we can trust, and knowing that they have never and would never hurt us the way that our abusers hurt us.
And that's a true story. Spirit would never, ever, ever do anything to purposely hurt us. And I think that's what I had to get to. I had to get to the point where I recognized that humans have free will to an extent, and that my spirits are there to help me get through the bad shit that happens to me. And I know now as a medium, as a fact, that number one, your guides cannot intercede unless you ask them to. And number two, the intercession doesn't necessarily have to come in the way that you want it, but it can happen. Like there were times when it was bad enough that I'm like, oh dear God, please, this has got to stop. And somebody would come in the front door and bam, it was done.
Right.
And then I would just stay in the bed pretending to take a nap and then cry myself to sleep and actually take a nap. So it was done for me at that point. So I can see now, looking back, and God, I hadn't thought about that in years. I can see looking back at it now that spirit did intervene. It did stop certain things from happening. And I am beyond grateful for that intervention. And I am grateful that my energy calls out to amazing women and brings me amazing clients and amazing students, so that I can walk with you, not in front of you, not behind you, but with you on your journey, because I didn't have a whole lot of people walking with me. And so I know this is where I belong, doing this, helping women, opening you up to spirituality, helping you find your guides, helping you figure out, you may not be able to trust the humans in your life, but by God, you can fucking trust your guides beyond the shadow of a doubt. Because the only way you're going to progress on your spiritual journey, right? And you've heard me harp on this a million times. We're all born wide open to spirit. Our life experiences shut us off to it. And now we as adults have to work really hard to get it back open. And that's not everybody. The majority of people have to work to get it open. You have some people who've just been open since they were kids, which is great. Good for you. That's not my experience.
Right.
And so my job is to help you get back onto that spiritual journey. And so, this as well as I do. On your journey, I'm going to trigger you. I don't want to, but it's going to happen. On your journey, you're going to trigger me because there's something that I have to heal. I can't tell you how many of my clients trigger me on the regular. And then I have to sit and look at it and go, all right, why am I so pissed off? What is this reminding me of? Right? It's like going through the list. What is this reminding me of? When was the first time I felt this? Who is associated with this? Going through the whole list. And I can look at it so quickly now. It used to take, 20, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour or more before I could figure it out. Now within like 2 minutes, I'm like, got it. Okay, I see you. That makes sense.
It does. It really does. Because the more that you understand, and the more, even if you are triggered, the more that you understand and you start working through those, the easier it becomes because you understand the process. So your body is already learning that you can understand something that was triggering and scary and hurtful, and you can release it. You don't have to hold on to it. So I feel like at the beginning, in a way, it's a lot harder, not necessarily because the trauma that you are dealing with is the hardest trauma, but that you've not done it before. So your body doesn't understand how to go through the process of releasing that. And so you go through the first trigger or couple triggers, and you figure out how to understand it and then process it and release it. And your body starts to learn that, hey, this is okay to do. And when my heart, mind, and soul say this is okay to do, then it becomes easier to do it with the other triggers. So it can take a lot less time to understand it and then to heal and release it.
Absolutely. Fully agree with you completely. So can you believe it's already been 46 minutes?
I know. No.
So if you are listening to this podcast and you have been struggling being able to talk to your guides and you have trauma in your past, even if it's not sexual trauma, the whole point of this conversation is to explain to you and get you to understand the reason why you're having troubles connecting with your guides is you have trust issues. When you have trust issues, how the hell do you trust something that you don't see? I'll tell you how you do it. You can go to Western therapy, or you can start seeking out spiritual classes. And I know every single one of the classes that I teach, some kind of trauma comes out in every single one of them. Even if it's just a 2-hour intuition development class, something comes up and they're like, oh my God, now I get it. So if that's you, you're on your journey, you're doing your thing, find a teacher that you feel comfortable with. I will always volunteer to be that teacher because this is my job. And I also recognize that my cussing and I was going to say screaming, but I don't scream anymore. So is not necessarily your thing. And that's okay, right? You can say, listen, I really want to come to you as a teacher, but you cuss a lot. Is there any way you could dial it back? I'd be open to that, right? I might have to catch myself saying fuck a few times. I have to label my podcast as explicit because I got a potty mouth.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Because, and Carol can attest to this too. When I fully stepped onto my spiritual journey, it was singularly the most difficult, painful, beautiful, fantastic, joyful journey I have ever been on. And I can honestly tell you, there is nothing about my life I would change. Not the bad parts, none of it. Because everything has gotten me to where I am at today. Healing all of that, letting go of the anger has helped me to embrace being the medium that I need to be, the teacher that I need to be, the coach that I need to be, so that I can help other people clear my own karma and keep on going, right? It reminds me of that 70s thing, keep on trucking. So if you would like a reading, we have Carol's website up, which is carolelizabethmedium.com. And she has everything out there. You can make appointments. She's ready.
Yeah,
she wants to talk to you. She's good. And if you want a reading, you can book with me as well. Go to marialeggett.com. If you would like to learn classes, learn who your spirit guides are. And I mean, not for nothing, but I have this beautiful class that just launched, Not Your Granny's Magic. Doors will close by October 15th for the year. I'm not letting any new people in after the first month. And I'm so excited for all these different things. So if you want to learn about magic, you want to learn about your spirit guide, you want to learn about all these different things, go to learn.marialeggett.com and I'll be there to help you. Thank you, Carol, so much for being here. Are there any last parting words, any marketing spoof, anything that you want to put out there and say? This is your moment.
I would just encourage you to go into finding a teacher with an open mind and an open heart, that Spirit will lead you to the teacher that you need. And as long as you do that, then you will find the right teacher for you. That's how I found Shelly. She's an awesome teacher.
Thank you. I love that.
But it's seriously, if you go into it and ask your guides to help you find the teacher that is right for you at this time and what you need to heal and process, you will find the right teacher. I have no doubts.
Yeah. It reminds me of something that one of my teachers taught me early on, which was, when the student is ready, the master will appear. And
I completely agree.
Thank you, Miss Carol. I appreciate you. I love you. Thanks. And I'm sure this won't be our last podcast together.
I'm sure.
Thank you, everybody.